Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to another market analysis for the month of May. Now, the RuneScape economy has been very interesting this month, as always, but one thing I really want to talk about today is how I think the RuneScape economy has flipped. Now, I don't necessarily mean the prices have flipped, like everything is going to start going back up all of a sudden. However, more so, what is being valued the most has kind of flipped. Where previously I think it was more mid-game PVM items, now I think it's more end-game rare items, and we can definitely see some of that being corroborated in the pricing trends of those items. So we're going to talk a lot about that as well as anything else interesting in the Oldschool Runescape economy this month. As always, if you do enjoy these types of videos, I always appreciate it if you leave the video a like. It always makes me a little happy inside whenever I see a like in the video, so I always appreciate it. Anyway guys, let's get started. Now, for pretty much all of 2021 and half of 2020, many players have noticed that the market for PVM items has been crashing extremely quickly. There's been a ton of memes on Reddit, a ton of messages I've received, a ton of comments, and I think most people can agree that the market has been crashing. However, there's been a very similar but opposite trend happening on a different category of item, where an in-market PVM item like the Bandos chestplate has been crashing. We have other kind of similar items that aren't that useful, like the Dragon Full Helm, going up in price. Items that were previously not very in demand and extremely rare, like the Dragon Full Helm, have now started to explode in price. For example, the Dragon Full Helm has gone up from around 40 mil, peaking at 80 mil just in the last couple of months. Very similar story on the Dragon Kite Shield, again an extremely rare item that most people don't really want or need, has now started to shoot up in price. Another good example is the Ring of Endurance, an item that is fairly rare from the Hallowed Sepulchre, and previously didn't have much demand for it, as it does only have a few niche uses, despite having a fairly powerful effect. And of course, we can't forget literally every item in the game that has Third Age in its name has been going up incredibly quickly in price. I mean, look at the Third Age Druidic Cloak going from 700 mil back in March up to 1.9 bill. Absolutely insane. Of course, we have the Third Age Druidic Top worth over max cash, Third Age Druidic Bottoms worth well over max cash. Even a cheaper item like the Third Age Amulet, which I remember flipping back in March for like 15 mil, is now peaking at 60 mil just a couple of months later. The Third Age Axe going from 300 mil back in March, peaking at 1.2 bill just around 3 months later. Now, another category of item that we've seen a giant price increase in recently is actually the Nightmare items. The Inquisitor's armor set has gone from around 450 mil back in April, all the way up to 630 mil just in the last month. We have the Inquisitor's mace having a very similar trend, going nothing but up for the last month, actually kind of like the last quarter really. Just in the last month, it has gone from 500 mil now up to 720 mil. And just in the last week, it has gone up over 100 mil in value. We of course have the Harmonized Orb, which has continued to go up and up, over 100 mil this month. But you guys probably get the idea. Mainly what I'm talking about are rare items that do have a use. However, previously to the last couple months or so, most reasonable players wouldn't bother buying them. Now, this trend is pretty fascinating, and you do see it in quite a few other markets, including the real life stock market. Just for example, this year, a lot of people have invested into tech stock, stuff like Tesla, Microsoft, Apple, and of course startup companies, and tech stocks have done extremely well over the last year or so. However, eventually something that has maybe already started happening or will happen in the future is people will eventually cycle out of tech stocks more so into recovery stocks. It is somewhat just a natural cycle of the market, and it's something I think has happened actually in the RuneScape market already. Now, I think one thing that we can all agree on is players in RuneScape don't like to lose money, especially on a depreciating asset like a Dragon Warhammer or a Dragon Hunter Lance, or another example of an in-market PVM item. I think as the PVM market has continued to get lower and lower, a lot of players have decided to sell off a lot of those items and instead invest in more optimistic items like Third Age, for example. I mean, Third Age has been going up in price tremendously quickly, and I think a lot of savvy investors have seen that. Now, of course, that often causes a snowball effect, and as more players sell off their PVM items and buy rare items, that trend just gets exacerbated and pushed further and further. And even for non-investors, players that probably aren't going to liquidate their bank to buy Third Age, those players have continued to stack up more and more money. those players might be more inclined to invest in less useful items like a Dragon Full Helm, a Ring of Endurance, or maybe even Inquisitors. I think it just really is a perfect storm. Many late game players have finally been able to afford all of the items that they realistically need, and now they're just moving on to items that they kind of want. That, in combination with a lot of these rare items being extremely slow to obtain and not easily farmable, for example the Dragon Full Helm being from Chewed Bones, Third Age being from Clue Scrolls, Inquisitors being extremely rare, has pushed the price up incredibly quickly. Now, just how I think it's totally likely that a lot of players have cycled out of the more in-market items towards endgame rare items, I think the reverse of that trend could easily happen. When exactly, I'm not sure, but I think it is very likely to happen when we get some new major content. Regardless though, I do find it very fascinating to track, although fairly hard to predict. Now, another really interesting event that happened this month in the OSRS economy is once again the addition of the Twitch Prime promotion. Now, we get these fairly frequently, but just as of about a week ago, the free membership promotion from Twitch Prime was enabled once again. However, something kind of interesting happened. Unlike every other time that the Twitch Prime promotion has come back, this time, prices have actually reacted in a very different way. So let's have a quick look at the price of a couple heavily botted items and have a look what happened. Now, normally you would expect heavily botted items to go down. However, interestingly enough, they haven't really gone down in price at all. Actually, in certain cases, they've gone up. For example, U-Log, sure they did go down temporarily, but now they're actually at the highest point this month. Another good example of this is bowstrings. The Twitch Prime promotion came out around a week ago, and they're actually still valued at around 120. Another interesting one is cannonballs. Cannonballs have actually just gone up a bunch this month, going from 135 to 180, and they seem to be not affected at all by the Twitch Prime promotion. We have Wines of Zamrak, which did briefly crash down to 950, but they're actually already on their way back upwards. So it looks like those could recover. And I think one of the best items I have a look at here is actually the Pharaoh Scepter. The Pharaoh Scepter did crash immediately from 3 mil down to 2.4 mil, but that seems like that was just pretty well panicked because it's already recovered back up to 2.8 mil. Now you can take from this what you will, but it does seem to indicate that either Jagex has been banning a lot more bots recently in gold farmers, or the anti-body measures that they have put into the game have actually been somewhat effective. Sure, the Pharaoh Scepter has not recovered back to where it was a year ago. However, that may never happen with how many scepters were pumped into the game in 2020. So what I'm really trying to get at here is the prices have not really been affected that negatively compared to most other times that they have ran the Twitch Prime promotion. Whether that lasts for all of the promotions, who knows? I mean, I think they have 10 months of Twitch Prime promotions already planned, but I guess we'll have to see. Okay, so now switching over to more general PVM items here. Actually, the last week has been pretty good for the market as a whole. Most items have actually started to recover in value a bit. For example, we have the Bandos Chestplate going from 16.5 mil up to 17.5 mil, but it is increasing in value. Now, actually, Zulrah scales have regained quite a bit of their value in the last couple of weeks, going from a low of 70 GP all the way back up to around 100 already, which has brought the Toxic Blowpipe with it back up to around 2 mil. So who knows, we may never actually have to see that sub 1 mil blowpipe. I hope not. We have the Ancestral Robe set going up a tremendous amount just this week, going up 7 mil. And it does look like for the majority of PVM items, the prices have actually started to go back up in the later half of May. Now, it is hard to say exactly why, but it does look like we are going to be getting quite a bit of new content in the near future. While in my opinion it is not the most exciting content, we do have the Theater of Blood hard mode and the Nightmare hard mode, which means that is some new PVM content that a lot of players will either need to buy back their gear for or invest in for the first time to be able to complete. So simply new or rehashed PVM content is coming up, so most of the items have started to go back up in price a bit. Whether it's enough to really shoot them back up near to where they were before, I doubt it. We may have to wait a little bit further for that. And finally here we have the OSRS bond. I feel like it has been a couple episodes since I have mentioned it, but honestly I'm kind of scared. Actually right now I'm working on a free-to-play 2 bond episode and it's taking forever. I mean, look how much bonds are right now. They're worth around 6 mil. If we look back a year ago in May, they were worth 3.5 mil. I would predict probably by November or December, we're gonna have 8 or 9 mil bonds, which is gonna be absolutely ridiculous. I mean, bonds are very unlikely to lose value in the long term. Unless we start removing a ton of gold from the game, bonds are just a really good indication of how much OSRS gold is worth in relation to a currency like the US dollar. Actually, for 2020, it doesn't even look like the bonds have ever gone under 4 mil, and at this rate, may never again. Anyway guys, that is going to be it for my market analysis for the later half of May. As always, if you have something you want to discuss, always feel free to leave a comment down below. I do read all of them, and if you're lucky, I might even answer you. Thanks for watching guys, and I'll see you next time. Now before I go here, as always, I want to give a big shout out to all of my members over on YouTube. Thank you so much to Cappy, Colin Corley, Timothy Chen, Wolf of the Hunt, Guy Fox, Ocelot, and Kush Patel for all being subscribed at the Dragon tier. You guys are truly amazing. Thank you as always. Also a giant shout out to Lord Dojin, All Things Gaming, Yo-Yo Sup, Need My Pills, Branton Griffin, Birdbot, and Base Titch for being subscribed at the Runite tier. And as always, if you guys are looking for another way to support the channel, becoming a YouTube member is an awesome way to do so. You can get immortalized in all of my future videos, get access to my video release schedule, and of course, get a custom role in my Discord server. Thanks again guys, and I will see you next time.